Should the Saints bring back Alontae Taylor? Well, there's some reports that maybe they're trying to do that. We're going to talk about the potential of number one sticking around in New Orleans because they do have decisions to make. He will be a free agent, and we know that he was getting some interest at the trade deadline. He's extremely versatile and arguably the top free agent corner in this free agency class. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Before we dive into the reports, what should the Saints do? Put on your Mickey Loomis hat, type pay, or type walk for what you would do with Alontae Taylor. The Saints have a decision to make around their young corner, and the question is he a part of their long-term plans or not? Personally, that's a question that I cannot answer, you can't answer. The only people who can are Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley. But we do know that the New Orleans Saints at least have shown some interest in trying to keep this player around. The latest reports from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN are as follows. The Saints and Taylor once discussed an extension, but a deal never happened, which made him a trade candidate at last week's deadline. The Bears and Colts showed interest. As a reference point, the top 2025 free agent corners earned about $18 million per year on new deals. Now, I understand that $18 million a year may scare some of you guys away, and I understand that that may be a high price tag, but in my personal opinion, at some point, you need to invest in the young talent you have, and there's nothing wrong with paying the young players that are contributors and are going to be a part of the future. So for that reason, I would keep Alontae Taylor. I would like to see number one stick around in New Orleans. I really appreciate the versatility that he has, being able to play inside or outside, being able to rush the passer, being able to drop back in coverage, stop the run. I understand that there are strengths and weaknesses to his game, but I think that he's a player that's gotten better every year, and I don't think that we've totally reached the peak of what Alontae Taylor is capable of. And in case you didn't know, he's actually having a really good year. Mr. Consistency, I guess is what we should call him. I had to double check this, but Alontae Taylor, 4th in solo tackles, 4th in pressures, and 4th in receptions allowed among all cornerbacks in the National Football League, which in my opinion, I understand he has been hot, he has been cold. You're getting really good production from Alontae Taylor this year. And when you look at the cornerback room, it is a little bit thin if you do let Alontae Taylor leave. Now, obviously, you can fulfill needs in free agency and in the draft, but I just really like the crew that they have in their cornerback room. I think Quincy Riley, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Alontae Taylor are a really nice trio. And I think that Ugo Amadi is a fine player, is a free agent this offseason. It just, to me, makes too much sense to try and pay Alontae Taylor and keep him around. And like I said a little bit ago, investing in young talent isn't a bad thing. Like, I know that a lot of us have a bad taste in our mouths for paying these high contracts to some of these guys. But you also can't just let every player walk in free agency. You need to keep some of these guys around, and the Saints don't have the roster to just let dudes walk away and say, all right, we'll figure it out next year, the year after that. Like, if you keep Alontae Taylor, it helps you limit the roster holes, and it helps eliminate an extra need. In my opinion, is a slight need. The cornerback, defensive back area does need some help, but I don't think that it's this major pressing need. And Alontae Taylor, in my opinion, just makes more sense to pay him than to pay another corner in free agency. So coming up, we're going to talk about some options at cornerback if Alontae Taylor does end up walking in free agency because, maybe he does leave. Maybe he plays really, really well the back half of the season and, outplays himself of a contract the Saints are willing to pay. So we'll have to figure out what are the options now. We'll have that conversation. I encourage you, though, to subscribe to Saints Now by Chat Sports for daily Saints videos. We've been putting out a video every single day by fans for fans. So turn on your notifications, join our family of over 52,000 subscribers, and lock us in for 100% free. Now, replacing Alontae Taylor, I'm not going to tell you is this easy thing to do. It's actually much harder than you think. And I know on the surface level, you're just replacing a corner. Sure, but you're also replacing a guy who can play inside or outside. You're replacing a leader. You're replacing a guy who is a spark of energy for the defense. You're replacing somebody, and you would have to replace somebody who offers all of the things that Alontae Taylor does at that same level, if not you're striving for more. So when you consider, okay, Who could we pay? Who could we bring in today to contribute right now and play at a high level? Well, there's a handful of free agent defensive backs that you could potentially address. We're going to show you a list of some corners. We're going to show you a list of some safeties because obviously we know in Brandon Staley's scheme it is a versatile thing to do. It's a versatile thing group, but I'm going to talk about that in a moment. First, we got to tell you guys about the Salute to Service collection. If you love the troops and if you have a friend, family member, loved one in the armed forces, I promise you, you get them one of these Saints Salute to Service hats, hoodies, jerseys, T-shirts, whatever, you're going to be at the top of their power rankings. If you go to chatsports.com/NO Salute, that's New Orleans Salute, obviously, you can get yourself some Salute to Service gear, jerseys, T-shirts, hats, hoodies, footballs, memorabilia, all sorts of really cool stuff. I encourage you to support the troops and support the Saints. We're starting to turn things around. And hey, if you're ashamed, it's camouflage colors, so you'll blend in. So life's good. We go to chatsports.com/NO Salute. Click the link in the comments or description to get your Salute to Service gear today. November, it's Salute to Service month, so support the troops. All right, free agency targets in the defensive back room. You can go with a handful of these options. Personally, I don't love any of these. Watson, Reek Woolen, and Greg Newsome, more cornerbacks. Obviously, they're going to be players who contribute on the outside. Quentin Lake and Jaquan Brisker, they're safeties. So, like, when I look at the top free agent defensive backs, like, none of these guys, to me, are better than Alontae Taylor, at least in terms of what I would ask them to do and fulfill Alontae Taylor's role. Like, I like Alontae Taylor better than any of the free agents that we just showed you. And for that reason, I would like to pay Alontae Taylor. If you're going to spend money in free agency on a cornerback, you might as well keep the guy who has chemistry, has built camaraderie, understands the team, understands the city, understands the fan base, has the ability to continue to contribute. I just think it makes too much sense to pay Alontae Taylor versus paying another corner. I just think that would be a waste of money when you could just keep him around and have him be a part of the long-term plan. Now, you also can address the needs in the draft. Of course, that is a place where I think the Saints will be very active in adding players to fulfill the roster needs. Look, not all these guys are going to be guys in the corner. Not all these guys are going to be dudes that are, some of these guys are just strictly corner. Some of these guys are strictly safety. Some of these guys can do a little bit of everything, but none of these guys are like, oh my God, that is the replacement. The absolute exception, though, Caleb Downs, are you kidding me? That would be awesome. Like, if you did let Alontae Taylor walk, I am sprinting to the stage with my card that says Caleb Downs. If you let Alontae Taylor walk in free agency, Caleb Downs needs to be a priority in the draft. And I think that he would be an awesome addition to this defense. In my opinion, he's one of the best overall defensive players and arguably one of the best players in all of college football. He's somebody that could fulfill a need. He can play at a high level. He has the pedigree, the experience, the high football IQ, the high-level play. He's somebody that would be a huge impact on this defense. But again, I really like the young defensive back group that they have. And if you're telling me I could get Arvell Reese over Caleb Downs, keep Alontae Taylor, just thinking about that got me feeling nice. I'm starting to foam at the mouth just, visualizing that as my defensive squad. And I think Taylor can be a really good leader amongst the defensive back group. Obviously, Justin Reed is not a part of the long-term plans, so you can still add a high-level safety early in the draft if you really wanted to. But I think when it comes to Alontae Taylor, it is in the best interest of the New Orleans Saints to keep him in New Orleans rather than letting him walk in free agency. If you let him go test the free agent market, he might go and cash in a big way, and I could see a lot of teams desiring his services, specifically the Chicago Bears and Dennis Allen. I could see them wanting to have a reunion. Now, if you want to get more content in between these videos, I highly encourage you to hit me up on social media. Search up Trizzy Trace on X, Instagram, or TikTok. Or you can click the link in the comments and description of this video. It'll take you directly to my profiles. If you use social media, I'm active on it, so hit your boy up. And y'all stay golden. We will see you next time.